It's a picture that speaks volumes, because it's not just an old, unused, decrepit train track bridge that collapsed today in Mikhael, and thankfully no one was injured. But the story is not about the bridge collapsing. The story is about a state that's on its way out. The 961 route banner that fell with the train, advertising for a restaurant and bar, is absurd in itself. But of course, the train station, literally across the street, equally absurd, that it's a nightclub, it's a restaurant, it's an evening venue, rather than a hub for transport. And this train bridge once connected the port of Beirut via Mikhael train station on the way to Firin al-Shabik and all the way to Syria. Ottoman shores, people visiting Ottoman Syria, arriving to Beirut, taking the train into historic Lebanon, and making their way back into the provinces of Damascus and beyond. And that's a long time ago. None of us alive in Lebanon have any recollection of those years. Fast forward to today. Who do you blame for the train bridge collapsing and falling? Who do you hold to account? Is it the Minister of Transportation? Is it the Minister of Interior and Municipalities? Is it the municipality on its own? Is it the truck driver who apparently hit the bridge? Is it the rail authority that, funny enough, still exists and gets funded? Now, it's just a bridge, and it's a small bridge, but it's a big example of how difficult it is to address domestic problems in Lebanon, and they will always exist, even the calmest of times. But the issue at the end of the day is accountability, and there is no accountability right now. This bridge will probably be thrown away, along with the rest of the rail network, if it's restored. For the sake of nostalgia, what's the nostalgia for exactly? An unused train bridge? It's an insult to the train network that was once central to Lebanon's economy. But this train bridge collapse symbolizes an unfortunate truth. You cannot tackle domestic problems without restoring Lebanon's sovereignty. The scuffles between Iran and Saudi Arabia do not link directly to this bridge, but they do indirectly affect the decrepit situation of Lebanon's state institutions. Sovereignty is essential. Sovereignty brings about accountability. And for sovereignty to materialize, you need to neutralize the country. It's not just about today. It's about the last half century of power and authority in the hands of armed groups. It's about the PLO in Lebanon. It's about the Syrian army in Lebanon. It's about the Israeli army in Lebanon. It's about an Iranian proxy army in Lebanon. And it's about all the other armed groups that came and went since independence, that have dictated and kept Lebanese state institutions from fully functioning. Electricity, trash, water, transportation, infrastructure, environment, you name it. State institutions will only get worse over time until Lebanon's sovereignty is reinstated. Lebanon needs to be shielded from regional problems, period. If regional players need Lebanon to preserve their authority at home and in the region, if they need Lebanon that badly, they will never leave Lebanon alone. And the Lebanese will need to demand to be left alone. 2005, they demanded to be left alone. In 2015 and 16, they demanded accountability and desperation without state sovereignty, and neither revolt took hold. Today, transportation is decrepit, the economy on the brink, environment is toxic, insecurity along the southern border persists, while a proxy army determines how to respond to such events. And all these issues, all these debates about corruption, about mismanagement, about simple things that need to be dealt with at home will never be taken into consideration because Lebanon's state has not been working for the better part of its history. Conflict pervades the region, and sectarian tendencies should be shielded as best as they can at home because domestic problems cannot be tackled independently so long as Lebanon is embedded and entrenched in regional warfare. Sovereignty is the goal, and neutrality is the key. You need Lebanese to abandon their faith in foreign persuasion and overcome their fear of proxy arms. And when an old train bridge collapses in Beirut, it marks an ending of sorts, the end of what once was a blossoming country, the end of what used to be a proud and respected nation, and today, a situation of failure and a state in shatters.